next two colleagues are going to join us now, and we're going to be joined by two of our PhD students. As many of you will know, CVSL has had a number of PhD students over the 6 years, some of whom have now completed and moved on. And I'm always delighted as part of CVSL Conference to introduce CVSL's PhD students. And indeed, it is always a pleasure to supervise PhD students, because I'm sure my fellow supervisors would say we learn so much from students, and their work is absolutely of the moment. And so the two students joining me today are Sally Vivyan and Gavin Myers. Sally's going to speak first, and they're going to do what we describe inside the institution as the PhD shorts, which means we give them a challenge of speaking for 3 minutes each to give us an introduction to their PhDs. Sally has recently submitted, so it's very close to finishing. Gavin, I know, is at an early stage, but we're really looking forward to hearing more about your research. Sally, over to you.
Okay. Hi everybody, I'm Sally. I am a fourth year PhD student affiliated to CVSL, and as Carol said, I've just recently submitted my thesis. The focus of the research has been on leadership practice in small asylum seeker and refugee charities, and specifically for my fieldwork I did one long in-depth case study through 2020 and 2021, so the work and the research was very much hybrid on topic for today. And I used qualitative methods to collect my data, so lots of observation of the charity in action, lots of interviews and review of documents. And I analysed this data and viewed the case study through a leadership as practice lens, which means I was really looking out for how people, place and things interact with each other to set or change the direction of the charity's work, which differs quite a lot to more traditional leadership, theoretical leadership lens, which would tend to look more at individuals or the structures that they work in. And what I found, and what I'm arguing in the thesis, is that I think the leadership as practice view is particularly appropriate to small and grassroots charities. Because people don't tend to be set in their roles. They tend to play more than one role, and that can be quite ambiguous. And also the structures of the organisations are not that clearly set and can be very permeable. And the material and policy and environmental context can be really influential on what the charity can do or not do. So taking a practice approach was really useful in understanding all of that. The reasons why I focused on asylum seeker and refugee charities is because our asylum system is an issue of great interest to me, and I live in the northeast of England where we have a lot of dispersal areas, so it's also a really big focus of the voluntary sector up here, and I've always worked in the voluntary sector. That's kind of my area of passion. In terms of the impact I'm hoping the research will have, because I think today, we want to look at how academic research can be relevant to the world of practice. So there's kind of two strands to this. First, which I probably wouldn't normally talk about at a purely academic conference, is the very practical hands-on impact. So I'm continuing to work closely with the charity, and we're directly kind of learning and implementing changes coming out of the thesis. So that's been very satisfying impact for me. The other element of it is the more academic impact, which is through just sharing what I've learned as widely as possible through conferences, through blogs, through papers. And once I get the Viva out the way, hopefully focusing a bit more time on submitting papers to peer-reviewed journals so that it's part of the record. And so this argument about taking a practice approach to understanding small charities and building the research base for the sector specifically can kind of get out there to as wide an audience as possible. And that's me, hopefully within 3 minutes.
Hi, I'm Gavin. Greetings. I'm from Kingston, Jamaica, and I'm in the Center for Voluntary Sector Leadership. And my research is titled Finding Common Ground in a Strange Land, Collaboration by Caribbean Diaspora, Voluntary and Community Organizations. And this title is my roundabout way of looking at how Caribbean Diaspora, Voluntary and Community Organizations collaborate with other groups, including other CDVCOs. I am using an activist framework that, together with the practitioners, we are answering 3 questions. And the 3 questions are: 1, what is the role that identity plays in managing inter-organizational collaboration between these CDVCOs and their partners? 2, how do these Caribbean diaspora voluntary and community organizations and their partners manage the interactions between the different identities to achieve collaborative advantage? And then 3 is, what are the strategies put in place by the CDVCOs and their partners to reduce the possibility of collaborative inertia arising out of conflicting identities? So the Caribbean diaspora in the UK has had a long and storied relationships, and recent reports have shown in very detailed and deliberate ways that their migration here and when they arrived, the participation has been testing. But still, the Caribbean diaspora has made an indelible mark on what we are as the UK and also in our homelands. But this diaspora voluntary action, like most aspects of the BME voluntary sector, does not have a high level of research focus. And there has been some contestations, even so, as to whether there is a BME voluntary sector. I grew up in the voluntary sector in the Caribbean. I've been a participant and a worker in the voluntary sector and a researcher for all of my life. So when I was growing up, it was all this fun hearing about the collaborative activities, the Notting Hill carnivals, the church activities, and the community and leadership activities that were being done in the diaspora. So I was interested and engaged and wanted to do more of this. So coming into the research at CVSL, I was very happy and fascinated to work with this, and I'm looking forward to engaging and also sharing this research from the perspective of the participants. So that is one of the reasons why I'm doing Engage Research. In the end, I am looking to pass on this information to a broader set of persons and also to bring this type of information to the community. So thank you very much for listening to me. Respect.
Well, thank you very much, Gavin and Sally. It is somewhat of a challenge to summarise a PhD and your contribution in 3 minutes. So thanks for doing that.